Welcome to the Adapt or Die podcast. This podcast explores ideas related to self-growth, finding meaning, and living a more fulfilled lifestyle. It's your host, with the most, Armel Tala.
And it's your host, on the low, Ben Smith. We're two college students on our own path of lifelong learning with the hope that you will join us in our journey. And now, it's time for the next episode of
The Adapt or Die podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Adapt or Die podcast, and we're back again. You got the lovely host, Ben. You look so good today.
You're my co-host.
Co-host? Ooh, we got the lovely co-host, Ben. You got,
Mr. Mel.
Mr. Mel, Armelicus Melius. I go by a lot of different names, but I prefer Armelicus Melius. So, you know what I've been really into, though? I'm not going to lie to you.
What?
Nutrition, bruh.
Really?
So, yeah.
What in particular?
Particularly longevity. Anything to do with longevity is like when I tell you my motivation for eating healthy isn't just to be like, oh, it's good to eat healthy. Well, it kind of ties back to it. It's like I want to live a long time, bruh. I want to be around for a long time. Like I want to see what's happening, what's gonna happen out in the world.
Little secret: Mel wants to live forever.
Forever? Not ever. I do want to live long enough to be intergalactic space bounty hunter.
Boy, what?
Yeah, an intergalactic space bounty hunter to the point where
walk me through what that means.
So you know how Jeff Bezos and Ben doesn't keep up with any news. You probably don't even know Jeff went to space.
No, I know.
Okay, good. At least you know Richard Branson went to space.
Yeah.
Okay, good. At least Ben keeps up with the science stuff. But,
I know a little bit.
Eventually it's gonna get to a point where people just go into space for normally, going different planets
like
and stuff. Yeah, but then there's gonna be bad guys in different planets, and then they put a bounty on their head, and I go find them.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
You're gonna have to be alive for a long time for that one, Chief. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey. As long as I eat my vegetables, I'll be good, right?
Eat that spinach, that kale.
Real quick. Let's give the people this isn't what we're covering today. What are we actually talking about? Let's do that.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with today's episode. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about essentialism. And basically what that is, it is the art of doing less. No, sorry. The art of doing more with less, okay? So the whole idea of essentialism is that less is better through focus, basically. So I'm going to give you a quick intro. There are three things that are super important to essentialism. There's three core truths. The first is that you have the power, so you have choice, you can choose. That's a big thing that people subconsciously don't accept a lot of times, but you can control your life. The second thing is that only a few things matter.
Only a few?
No, only a couple things matter. Maybe. In my opinion.
You telling me I gotta cut some things off?
Yes. I would say if I had to give it a percentage, I would say maybe 3 to 5% of things matter.
3 to 5.
That's my personal take on it. That's not scientific.
5%?
That's my personal take. We can talk more about that later.
We don't have to.
And the last thing is that you can do anything but not everything. Okay, so those are the three core truths. You can choose. Only a few things matter, and you can do anything but not everything. That is essentialism in a nutshell.
Wait. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm looking at my definition. That doesn't match what I have.
What do you mean?
You said we were doing essentialism in this episode, right?
Yeah.
I thought you was talking about philosophy, bruh.
Why are you always so philosophical, dog?
Hey, you know what they call me, Armelicus Melius. Do you want to know what I found about philosophy, though, just in case? I feel like I can make it connect. I feel like I can make it relevant. Give me some time.
Take it away, bro. You got it.
So, essence from a philosophical standpoint. This is what the definition says. Okay, guys. The true or permanent nature of the being of a phenomenon as opposed to the accidents understood as the characteristics or features that may or may not necessarily in a particular being or something. That may or may not be in a particular being or something.
Huh? Was that English? That? Did you understand that?
Only philosophers understand. I'll bring it down to the normal people definition. Okay, all right. So
please bring it down to my level.
Okay, but actually, simply put, it is something that remains constant throughout the entire process of change, right? So in a good example of this is Aristotle. He once said that man is a rational animal, right? And so in that whatever statement he said, what makes the essence of man is rationality, right? Because our ability to think and ration stays constant no matter our age, right? Well, of
That's
course,
actually a pretty good point.
yeah. I mean, of
Okay,
course, like
okay.
babies, they do their own rationing and they do rationing for for babies, right? But like that ability to do it stays.
You just made me think of like a baby like giving out food. Like a baby is just like, hold on, nope, no more for you. Nope, no, this is my food.
But to
Like,
tie it
go
back to what
on.
it means with essentialism is just like I feel like you could tie this back and saying like instead of putting it on something else, think about it like what is the essence of you? What makes you you? What makes you happy? What is something that you actually want to do? And I think once you can like taking that philosophical point of view and applying it to essentialism can help you, I guess, figure out what is actually important, because apparently only 3 to 5% of things are important.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe that's too much, but okay, so I'm cool with that, but it still seems like a little abstract for me.
Yeah.
Can you give me like some more applicable things that we can talk about?
Okay,
Like,
so in terms of applying it, so
yeah, like
okay,
instead of
you-
just talking about like the rationing of babies, like
it's not, no, I guess you guys can't see the philosophical. I'm kidding, okay, but so in terms of
he's not
actually-
kidding.
in terms of actually things being applicable, so like I was saying, you have the essence of like once you can figure out what is essential to you, what is what is the essence of you, what makes you, right? It makes it easier for you to identify what's important and what's not important, because I think that's something we're going to stress about. But you need to figure out what's not important, and you need to know how to say no to that and why to say no.
Name
right?
name 10 things that are important, real quick.
I don't have time for that because
That's fair.
everything is important.
There are too many things. That's the point.
Everything.
Got it.
There's
That's my point.
Oh God, you guys, I'm a reverse essentialist, but I will slowly become one. I will slowly become.
You're getting
one.
there. You're getting there.
I will get there.
Although you're like an essentialist, like
To-
basically a worst nightmare.
yeah. I'm like the opposite end, but I'm approaching there. But at the same, this is a whole. That's a whole
One
different.
day.
We'll get on that later. But so I have 3 points here about like why saying no and is important and why you should say no. Number 1 is like, again, we can't overstate for Ben particularly, like not everything is important. Most things are actually not important, and I realize this too. Like I'll give you guys an example: social media and Snapchat. That is my biggest example. Like once I realized that, why am I snapping this person a picture of my face? Like why does that even matter? Like what are me and you gaining from that? So just being able to understand that saying no to things, because not everything is important, not every party invite and whatever is important. And then number 2 being there's trade-offs. When you say yes to that party, you're like woohoo. You're
How you dance?
that's my impression of someone saying yes to a party. You're like, hey yo Jimmy, you want to go out tonight? And Jimmy's like, woohoo. Like he just hitting his moves and stuff. But
I think I rubbed off too many dance moves on you.
hey, don't worry, I still got that bank can't hit. You know what I'm saying? I still got the little sauce.
bad.
Yeah,
My
Ben.
bad,
Don't
my
forget. Don't forget, Ben. Don't forget. But but it's again emphasizing that there is a trade-off you make when you say yes to something. When you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. When I said yes to go hoop at the gym last Thursday with my friend, I said no to doing my homework, and that was a trade-off that I gladly made. But some people don't understand that. Some people don't see it that way.
That
What
is
were
a
you gonna say?
good point. Like it's okay to make those trade-offs as long as you know exactly what the trade-off is for. That's kind
Yeah,
of the big point. Like, are
exactly.
you aware of the consequence? Cool, keep going.
And that is something essentialism might highlight to people, is like you are saying no to something else. So there is a trade-off. And simply, guys, cannot stress this enough. If you don't prioritize your life, someone else will.
And that's facts.
And that's on
On jaw.
that's on Ben's uncooked seasoned chicken, okay?
Uncooked.
Hey,
Who do you think I am?
I don't know, Ben. I got to see what seasonings you make. Ben finally got an apartment. He's cooking on his own, so
It's gas.
I'm gonna go over and see
Y'all
what.
can come over.
I'm gonna go over and
what's
see
popping.
the whole podcast, the whole viewership comes. I mean, it's gonna be like 5 people, but hey, we still chilling. But yeah,
vibe.
can't stress that enough. If you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. But okay, so now people are like, okay, when you're explaining why saying no is important, but like, how do I actually say no? Because saying no actually is harder
It's
than it
hard.
seems. I'm not gonna lie. Even for me, I should have said no to going to the gym because it wasn't like that competitive, and I was like, okay, but so I still found a way to tell myself I got something from it. But how do you actually say no, Ben?
I think the easiest way is to kind of change your frame of reference. And so two things here. The first is that we have to understand that as humans, we naturally have a tendency to want to hold on to things. Any material possessions that we have or any people, ideas that we like, they're ours, we really like them. We want to hold on to them. And so a lot of times when we're thinking of, do I want to give this up? We're thinking, all right, I have this. Can I afford to give this up? Do I want to give this up? Will I use this in the future? But those are really the wrong questions. The right question is really to say, if I did not own this, if this was not mine, if I was not friends with this person, this idea, whatever it is, how much would I sacrifice to get this? How much would I pay to get this object? How much would I sacrifice for this relationship? So that would kind of frame and give you an idea of, all right, would I still sacrifice the same amount of time to be friends with Mel? Yes. All right, that's how I know I'm gonna be friends with Mel. That, like, that's the idea. It's not, would I give Mel up? Well, I mean, obviously the answer is still no, but that's a bad question to ask in terms of cutting things out of your life and being an essentialist. So that's the first thing. And then the second question that you can ask is, or the second idea is, if someone asks you to do something, is it a hell yeah, or is it a no?
And for me, going to that gym that day was a hell yeah. If you tell me to go hoop, especially where I'm at, where I'm barely hooping, it's a hell yeah.
And if it's a hell yeah, send it. But if it's just like if it's a yeah, then honestly, there are so many more. That's probably one of the 50% things. It's not in your little 3 to 5% box that's actually important that you should be focusing on. Maybe it's a little bigger for you, but the point is, that's just like easy. Those are two easy ways to frame. If it's not something that's really important for you, just say no. It's that simple. It's gonna be hard at first, but you get used to it. I promise. I do all the time.
And Ben's got to get at saying no to things, man. I'm seeing my boy grow over here. I'm seeing him
we
grow.
both growing a little bit.
Sometimes people confuse and be like, yo, your friend Ben antisocial. I'm like, nah, he just mastered how to say no to y'all. Come on, stop playing with him.
I'm just built different, Shane?
Stop it. Get some help.
Just built different.
So I'm generally good at saying no, but I know one thing that you feel really passionate about, and I kind of want you to talk about this, is like, and I feel like you've done this really well actually, is finding kind of your clarity, like your purpose on like what you want to do. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, and clarity is huge. And like, you can say, you're like, okay, I know how to say no. I know why saying no is important. I know how to say no. And again, stressing like, would you trade off time? But also there's a thing of like, there is a trade-off that you're making, but then also understanding like, what is actually you, going back to even the philosophical idea, like what makes you you. And that is what clarity is. You need to understand like truly what is important to you and what is going to help you towards all of that. And obviously you should instead like, I don't want to just put like goals specifically, but family, friends, and all those things are important. So you should be thinking like, you should be trying to figure out, make it very clear. And this comes with self-reflection is a big part of it. And that's for me how I finally found my clarity was self-reflection. Like, and a lot of people run away from this because you're going to dig into some monsters in the closet that is like...
It's really hard, yeah.
You're going to dig and be like...
It's very difficult.
Like, why was I spending my time doing all that? Or why was I, with that? But you're going to feel like it's things that people don't want to go back.
How do you self-reflect? Just like real quick, like what are some ways that we can reflect daily to help us find these ideas?
Number one is something Ben put me on, journaling. And this, I'm low-key, I'm becoming a stoic. We're going to talk about stoicism soon. But becoming stoic, and so just journaling, like asking yourself questions, like even just writing out your thought process, you get to see that. But if you get in that habit of maybe sometimes in one day, like ask yourself like, what's important to me, or well, how can I achieve my 4-year goals in one, like just asking yourself those questions. But more on like finding your clarity, it's asking yourself like, okay, well, look back at things like you really enjoyed and be like, okay, maybe what stopped me from being as successful as I wanted to. Like, let's say, like from my examples, like basketball in high school. It's like, well, what actually stopped me from playing Division I basketball? What stopped me from, reaching the goals that I wanted to? Oh, you were too busy.
What did stop you, Mel?
What did stop me was one, it was like, you were too busy. I'm not gonna lie. I was in the streets. I was playing the games in the streets.
He was doing his thing.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was playing the
doing
game
his
in the
thing.
streets, and I just wasn't as focused, as intentional. I wasn't, even though I loved the game, and I started to regret it though. I'm not gonna lie, just because of the environment I was in school and everything like that.
I
Not
definitely
having a good
understand
team
that.
and everything. Your environment plays a big part of it. But
Huge part.
being able to reflect and also identify, like, oh yeah, it wasn't just me, but it was also my environment. So then once you're able to reflect, you see those things like, okay, it's my environment. I was too busy spending my time doing these things when I could have been in the gym more often. So then it helps you be like, okay, I need to put myself in a better environment. I need to make sure I don't waste my time there, and that's going to help you find clarity. But then also it's not just important to know what you it's not just important to identify what's important to you. It's also important to identify what's not, and just being like, okay, look. And for me, that was a second step I took. I figured out what was important to me, but then the next one was what's not important to me, and it was what's not important to me, and it was Snapchat and the social media things. I actually don't.
Amen.
I actually don't want to go out
Preach.
all the time. Ben, he took it to extreme. I saw one video that was saying, like, I think just deleting your social medias is kind of a biatch way of getting out of it, because you kind of have to learn self-control if you still have them on there. That was just an opinion.
As a side note, I will say it is a little extreme,
Mm-hmm.
and I've thought about it a lot, and I think I will come back eventually. I just want to take a decent amount of time away from it before I do come back. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and so, but all of that being said, though, I do have this one particular thing I feel very passionate about. I think it's very BS, Ben, for people to say, hey, it's okay for you not to know what you want to do in life. It's okay for you to just, not have a single idea. Like, one, I want to say, like, it's okay to not know you will not know the future. You will not know set in stone what is going to happen in the future. But to tell people, like, it's okay to just be completely mindless and clueless of what you want to do next is horrible advice. Like, that is the worst advice. Like, yeah, you're making them feel better and putting them in a better, like, quote unquote mental space about it. And I hate to put quotes around the mental space, but I just don't think, like, you're telling people stay away from the self-reflection. 2, like, just have no idea. Having an idea is better than having no idea.
That's totally true.
Because from there, just adjust. Like, be fine. Some people, like, I don't know if it's just some people just are not okay with just being able to pivot and change and being okay, like, oh, don't think things are set in stone when you are trying to think of your business. Just be like, okay, well, I know at least I want to try this. It's like, at least know things you want to try. Maybe you don't have to know exactly set in stone what you want to do, but know that you're going to do something and try something in order for you to make the steps to figure out what you want to do. So that's just bad. It's just bad advice. Like, maybe put, like, yeah, it's okay not to know what you want to do, but make sure you're actively looking for what you want to do.
We really appreciate that rant, Mel. I mean, you're totally right, but maybe let's pivot a little bit, and I kind of want to give a few things that can maybe jumpstart y'all's clarity in terms of finding things that are important to you, just generally speaking. And these are important to me. They're important to. We forgot to mention at the beginning. All these ideas of essentialism are from Greg McKeown in his book Essentialism. So this is kind of where we're getting all this from. But going off some things that he said, and Mel and I have talked about a few things that we want to share. The first thing that has to be important to you is you. You are your best asset in terms of your health. You need to be taking care of yourself, because if you're not, then you're not functioning as well. You're not going to be as good for other people. You can't do the things that you want to do as well. If you're not healthy, you can't do anything. So you are your biggest asset. Make sure to prioritize yourself in terms of health. That means sleep, diet, exercise, all the above, mental health, etc. We'll get to that more in other episodes. The second thing, this is a big one for me, meaningful relationships. So making sure you're intentional about who you're hanging out with, why you're hanging out with them. Not that you have to be against hanging out with new people. I hang out with new people all the time. I did yesterday, the day before. There's nothing wrong with that. Just making sure that you're putting proper value on the people you hang out with. That's all. And then the third thing is make sure you have, this is kind of Mel's thing really, make sure you have a mission for the future. Make sure you have something that you're aiming towards, that you have progress towards. Because as humans, as people, we constantly need to be evolving and keeping and progressing. And if we're not doing those things, then we're stagnating. And honestly, that's when life loses its purpose, if you don't have some type of mission to go towards. So you need to find that and just work towards it. And then the last thing, which is almost counterintuitive to the third thing, is living in the moment. We think that staying in the moment, just being present, is really important. And I know that's kind of ironic, or
It's gonna mess people up. Like you're saying, it's kind of ironic, but I actually think I have a good way to like put it into good frame reference.
Go ahead.
So like so the idea is, let me just reiterate the idea. So as in, this is my principle, is plan for the future but live in the moment, right? So the thing is, let's say you're gonna hop in your car and you want to go somewhere. You need to know where you want, like you need to know the destination, right? You need to have an address to put in the GPS, so it shows you where to go, and you have the general idea, right? That's planning for the future. Now, when you get in the car, you can't only think about, oh man, I can't wait till I get to my homie's house, man. We finna play all the 2K. We finna eat all the
crazy
Doritos.
With the munchies.
Or for the females, we finna go over. Or for the women, so I know some don't like females. They don't like the word females, and I respect that. But for the women, you go on and you're like, oh, I can't wait to mess about some other. I swear that's what a lot of girls do. But so
we don't judge.
Whatever makes you happy.
Actually, we're judging. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but so that, and then so. Going while you're in the car, you can't only think about the destination.
That's actually facts.
You got to be in the moment, and you got to be actually focused on the road. So it's the same idea. So the idea of have a mission for the future is getting the coordinate, getting the address to where you're heading when you're driving. Now, living in the moment is you actually driving the car, and you making sure you're paying attention to everything that's happening. So
that's a great
don't
analogy.
Crash.
Yeah, it's like two sides of the same coin.
Exactly.
And you know what my favorite quote is? I'm gonna pull out my inner philosopher for you.
Okay.
This is it's a quote from a great poet. Okay. It's my life is one long day. I just live in the moment by Lil Uzi. So thought I'd throw that out there.
He said great philosopher said Lil Uzi. Lil Uzi
No, a great poet, okay?
He's
a singer-songwriter. Okay?
He's a poet.
He is an artist.
You technically can make the argument that they're poets.
Am I wrong? Snaps, baby. Lil Uzi. Anyways. Let's see.
12 seconds later.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I got lost. So since you're so passionate about clarity and finding purpose, I kind of wanted to ask you, would you want to walk through like an example in your own life of like finding clarity?
Yeah. I'm okay with that. You guys get to know a little bit more about me.
Okay. Well, we're gonna make this a little quick because we're trying to keep this episode short, but
we're trying to keep our episodes concise. That's the thing.
Yes, concise. Make sure y'all get the information in a good amount of time. I'm gonna ask you one question.
Yeah.
If you could only do one thing in your life right now, what would it be? One thing. Be an
entrepreneur.
Okay, that's fair.
One thing, be an entrepreneur, and within that, there's multiple things in it.
And so my second question for you is, what would you sacrifice to be an entrepreneur? Or a better question is, what are things that you're spending time on right now that are taking time away from your ability to be an entrepreneur that are not as important as you being an entrepreneur?
I think for me, it's definitely the times where people ask me to go out to things that I know that I actually wouldn't enjoy.
That's fair.
I think I went out to see one of my friend's birthday. It was yesterday. And every single party I go to, I fall asleep by 12 o'clock.
Do you really?
O'clock, yeah. Like, it's almost like every consistent. It's
when do you wake up?
O'clock. Well, usually because I wake up at like 6.
Wait, you only sleep for like 6 hours?
No, I usually go to sleep at like 11.
Oh,
but it's like I'm already tired by then. Like 12 is like past my bedtime. Like, and then
that's
plus,
fair.
You start mixing things and mental clarity ain't there.
No, that's... Well, I don't know about that. I've never touched anything in my life because...
He's a boy of God. That is a boy of God. But so I think
man
people
of
really
God.
Been a man of God.
I'm a grown man.
Say it with your chest. But I think we went over pretty well about essentialism. I think I really, this topic was one that actually one of my favorites. I enjoyed this.
I actually bought the book by Greg McKeown.
Really?
I'm gonna read it through and through.
We're doing some book sharing. Me and Ben book sharing. I got some books for you. I got some books for you.
You need to read that 7 Habits book. I'm gonna tell you that every single episode until you read it because it's time. It is time, bro.
Okay, then.
But let me wrap this up for us.
Recap.
A little bit of rapid recap.
Rapid recap.
I have to say, your R roll is actually pretty good.
Thank you.
I can't even get close.
I don't even know if I'm actually doing it properly, but it sounds.
For someone who doesn't speak Spanish at all, respect.
I think I'm doing an African R roll, but
pretty good.
Let's hear it.
First thing, To live an essentialist life means first deciding what's important. That takes a lot of upfront work. That means a lot of self-reflection. It's hard, but it's worth it, I promise you. Second thing, some good questions to ask if you want to decide what's important. If you only do one thing in your life right now, what would it be? What do you feel deeply inspired by? What are you particularly talented at? What meets a significant need in the world? Okay, those are kind of some guiding questions.
Those are some good questions. You had me reflecting for a second. Damn.
Once deciding what's essential, eliminate everything else. That is not hyperbole. I'm not exaggerating. I literally mean everything. So if you decide that 7% is essential, 93 is out the way, bro.
All right, I'll see you later, Ben.
Damn.
No, I'm kidding.
That is so tough.
Nah, Ben, I need you for the podcast.
Last thing is, to decide if you should say no, just ask yourself, if I didn't have this, what would I be willing to pay for it? Or second question, is this a hell yeah or is it a no? If it's a hell yeah, do it. If it's not a hell yeah, screw it. Mel, I believe you have a quote for us.
Quote, and y'all know, I think I'm gonna end every episode with a quote.
Probably.
Every episode, probably. I start all my meetings. I start all my meetings for my org at school with a quote.
Do you really?
And now they're like, "Yeah, Mel, you know how like you always." I was like, that made me so happy. I was like, "Oh, I'm known as a dude that always be saying quotes in his meetings." But okay,
he says quotes all the time.
One interesting quote, and this one's actually from Ben. To attain knowledge, add things every day. To attain wisdom, subtract things every day. Lao-Tzu. But since Ben kind of took this, I do want to ask him, what's the difference between knowledge and wisdom? I really thought those were the same.
What'd you say?
What's the difference between
Say it
what's
with
the
your chest.
difference between knowledge and wisdom, Ben? I ain't gonna lie, I said the quote, but I don't. You picked it, so I just say it nicely.
Knowledge is it's knowledge. It's like understanding things, and I would say wisdom is you being able to apply your knowledge. So being able to apply things that you know.
So it's like, sure, you can know all these different things, but can you actually take that knowledge and then apply to do something?
So knowledge is information. Wisdom is the ability to take that information and effectively use it.
One last time for the people. To attain knowledge, add things every day. To attain wisdom, subtract things every day. What's his?
I think it's Lao-Tzu.
Lao-Tzu.
I don't know. If I said that wrong, do apologize.
I do apologize. But thank you so much, guys, for listening. It's been another episode of the Adapt or Die podcast. Like, we are so grateful for each and every single person that listens. So share with your family, because we're here on our mission is to just help people improve. That is something that we do personally, and that is something that we want to share our journey with you guys. So definitely share with someone else that you want to see improve, and that if you love them, you're going to share this with them. And then second, check out our clothing brand. Hey, look, y'all got it. You help your people improve, and y'all going to help me reach financial freedom. I'm kidding. But if you do actually mess with it, the brand is called Authentic Over Deception, because again, kind of fall into our whole idea. It's like you want to grow, but then also be authentic with yourself and your fashion. So AODfashion.com, check it out. If you mess with it, let me know. Comments below. And anything else, Ben?
Just what you said. We really appreciate y'all listening. We just want to help everyone, and we're on our own journey, so we're just helping you through our journey. And by the way, those shirts are actually tough. I bought a couple, so they're certified, and I don't buy clothes, so
he doesn't. Like, share, subscribe, and follow us on our socials. All going to be in the description below. Peace.